listening to SLPP Radio.
Good evening, wherever you are, and a very warm welcome back to the Sleepy Let's Play podcast. Thanks for coming. I hope that you had a most marvelous day today. I'm your host, Tiny, and I'm so glad to have you here. Now, before we start, let's remember to take a moment to breathe and relax. Doesn't matter if you're in a bed, on a couch, a sleeping bag at a sleepover, or in a hammock down by the beach. Close those lovely eyes and take in a deep breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and now breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold again for 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel free to do this a few more times as you relax into your spot. Try to see if you can feel any tension that you may be holding in your body, and let it go as you pull up the covers around you to try to get even more cozy and warm. I'll give you a moment. Are you ready? Let's begin. This is a casual, calm, and quiet podcast session where I will play some games for you. No stress to complete everything or to be perfect. Just softly listen to a new or old gaming experience. I will try my best to describe characters, environments, and situations to you, as well as read out any dialogue or text that happens to appear on screen. And hopefully, my rambling will lull you to sleep. Now, let's play. Alright. We are back. And it looks like it seems like the game is automatically putting me into full screen now, which I don't remember it doing before. So that's interesting. So we have a black background, the white kind of blocky text in the center going continue from chapter 1, question mark, and the options below it, yes or no, our little red heart as our indicator. I'm going to go hover next to yes, which is now glowing yellow, and select yes. I will be re-describing everything all over again, just a heads up, and also just in case you happen to be tuning into the middle of the Let's Play. So now we're again at our other selection screen. Still full screen, which is surprising. Again, black background. In the top left-hand corner, that same chunky blocky text all in capitals, we have chapter 1, and in the center we have 3 rectangular boxes, little outlines, so like a thin pixel, maybe 1-2 pixel outline of a rectangle, that kind of neon glowing green. The chapter text was also in green as well. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. And we have our save file, our name, how long we've been playing for, and where we are. So we have 304, I'm assuming those are minutes. And we're in the field dash maze of death. And then below we have our 2 empty save slots, which I haven't used yet. And then right below those 3 boxes we have, going from left to right, copy, erase, and chapter select in that same blocky text, all in capitals. So let's go ahead and get back into our game. Continue or back, it says. So let's hover our red heart over continue and select that. Ooh, and right into the music this time. Genuinely exciting to come back right into the game. Yeah, let's go. This is such a good bop. So we're in the field of death, I believe it was. One more time, describing the scene for us. We happen to be where we saved last, which is the main deep far background is all black. We are on this purple pathway of grass. You can kind of see that the little blades of grass, these every couple seconds or so seem to move with the wind. To the far left of screen we have, right in the middle, coming out, a thin part of the purple pathway towards the center of the screen, and in the center there is a square shape that we are currently standing in. Still the path, just a little bit larger, and then it continues, once again becomes smaller, going to the right of screen, and then as it hits the right of screen, the pathway starts going downwards. In the top left, there's nothing. In the top right, there's one of those really pretty, they kind of remind me of like bonsais mixed with Japanese maples to give you a vision. The red and kind of maroon leaves of this tree, and then the kind of crooked base of the tree is outlined in that red. We have another tree that can just have the top of it be seen in the bottom left. And it is Chris and Rousey. Chris is just staring at me through the screen, and Rousey is looking the opposite way or looking up. The save star mechanic is placed just above the little purple path area, square area on the left side. You can see it shimmering, getting bigger and smaller, glowing white and bright. And to the right side of that, there's a sign. I believe last time I've already read that, but we'll read this one more time. Let's move over, and I think, let me try to remember the control. Z is the button. Yes. Right, the sign says, as the text appears in the bottom third of the screen in that rectangle, which is outlined by a thicker white line, and the actual base of the rectangle is black with white text on it, and it says, "Behold, the maze of death. Prepare to get lost, clowns. Signed, Lancer." Right, so I do remember that we are dealing with goofy little Lancer and his signs. And it looks like we also have already possibly addressed in the last playthrough. If we move downwards to the very bottom of the square pathway, this purple grass, we can see a little bit of pathway peeking up. It doesn't connect to where we are, but there's a treasure chest, and it is opened. I don't remember what was in the treasure chest, but we've already gotten that, so I do apologize. Let's continue towards the right. go right a bit, we go down a bit, and we keep going right, and we end up in another square area. It seems like anything where an event or something notable takes place, the pathway opens up to a larger square, and we have another sign. I'm going to read these again just in case I didn't last time. Oh yeah, the signs are very simple looking, by the way. It's a brown wooden kind of looking sign, a little rectangle. You can see that there's some sort of text on it, but they're just like single pixel lines, and then a tiny little pole that it's sitting on. Let's go read this. Wow, I can't get over how cute Ralsei is. Alright. This sign says, feeling lost yet? You must be utterly helpless. Utterly helpless in all capitals, amongst these twists and turns. Your sense of direction won't save you now. Signed, Lancer. Thanks, Lancer. We really appreciate the help and encouragement that you give us. Alright, what else is here? Now, I think we've also talked to this, but we'll go over it again. To the immediate right of this square path part, there seems to be a squished kind of, how do you describe it? It's pink, and it kind of is like, it clearly has a body, 2 arms, 2 legs, and I'm guessing ears, because there's a little hat it's wearing as well. It looks like it's been steamrolled over. The hat is this sort of half-moon shape. It is gray looking with a little couple pixels of red coming up at the top of it. Let's go see if we can talk to this character. Oh, and there's another one that you can see to the far right of the screen, off into the distance, in between a couple more of those really pretty red trees. It's some sort of enemy. Looks like they got clobbered. Oh dear. I wonder who could have done that. Susie. And let's head downwards, since that's the only pathway from here. And now, as we get to the next larger square part of this field, we have the option to go left, right, or down. To our left is another sign, and I believe if we head that way, we will end up back where that treasure chest was. Let me just check. Yeah, so that's where that treasure chest was. But there's also a sign on this path as well, so let's give her a ready-do. Hey, wait, where am I? Help, somebody help. I'm lost. Signed, Lancer. So, amongst his plot to foil us from getting to the Dark Fountain, Lancer has gotten himself lost in the process. Okay, let's continue. So we can go to the right or down. I believe that... I feel like if we go down, that won't progress us as far, so let's head downwards onto the path, or maybe it does. I could be wrong. As we head down through the pathway, there's 2 more trees on either side of us, again on that black background, and we end up at a T-shaped crossroad. No chunkier square of the field, the purple grass this time, just a pathway that goes left and right. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Oh, alright, so the pathway to the left just ends, and we have a sign at the very end here, which I'll read for you. Hey, don't look. This sign's private. Signed, Lancer. Oh, is it private, Lancer? Maybe you shouldn't make signs that anyone can read. But yes, there seems to be nothing to the far left here, just 3 more of the red trees. I wonder if there's an actual name for them. They are really pretty. Their bark is just like maybe a shade lighter than the black background that it's on, and then it has that kind of like highlighted, muted reddish tone. It's very neon, Tron-y almost, sort of, kind of vibes in a way. But the actual leaves in the trees are not like that. They're solid masses of different shades of red. They are quite cute. Alright, let's continue. We're gonna go back the other way. Is there anything else here? I feel like there's always little tidbits and tricks and tips in these games, little hidden secrets. So I do apologize if I miss any of those. Let's head back over to the right. Let's check out what this sign says to the right of this path. Oh, it's just this way. Signed Lancer. Alright, so in that case, Lancer indicating towards himself that the path continues that way to the right. I'm gonna go back upwards where we had that larger junction and continue to the right through here to see if there's anything else. And as we get to the end of this road, we see one of those characters that look like it was steamrolled over before, but this one is standing up. It is up. It looks upset. Its eyes are kind of closed shut. There's clearly little tears in the corner of the eyes. The face in a very deep frown, like a grimace, like it's kind of like all teeth and just like a frowny face. Not having a good time. It seems to be some sort of pink square bunny. Like the body is square. It has two little arms that stick out on either side, short little arms, two little legs at the bottom, and then two larger ears at the top. It looks, like a square bunny wearing a little, I guess like army hat, like a piece of like not silver, but like metal, like a little metal dome with a red feather possibly. Let's give this guy a chat here. Whoa, wait a minute. Even if you are my enemy, I've gotta warn you. A purple beast is roaming, clobbering anyone who dares block her way. In brackets, sob. We don't even we don't even like fighting. The king left us no choice. And now, Rousey speaks up. Rousey's cute little sprite showing up in the left side of the text box down below. This little green-looking witch's hat. You can see his horns protruding. Not out of the hat, but they're kind of like in the hat, as if the hat is stretchy enough that the horns kind of don't break through, but just kind of show through the hat. His face, you can see his little glasses outlined in white. Very, very plain, simple, just circle glasses. Two little white dots in the middle. His fur, I'm assuming his fur is black. His ears outlined again. And that sort of like Tron-esque style, I'm gonna call it. Green and that pink sort of scarf around Rousey's neck. And Rousey says, "Oh, Chris, we need to stop Susie quick." I agree with you, Rousey. Susie's really just, let's try to talk to this character one more time. And it says, "Hey, why aren't you afraid?" And it says that again, so I think that's all the dialogue we have here. Alright, I can run with let me see. I can run with the X button, yeah? Yeah, that's a lot faster. So let's go back down and to the right. Alright, and we open up. The small pathway opens up to a larger rectangle pathway, and we're surrounded by darkness and more of those trees. Let's continue going right. Right, and we are now in a new-ish looking area. So the purple grass pathway ends and opens up into that, I believe we already kind of did something similar before. A light blue large rectangle takes up the majority of the middle screen. So maybe a little bit less centered and more towards the bottom, because the top part of this light blue rectangle has a wall sort of coming out of it. It looks like a brick wall, but it's blue bricks, like different shades of blue. And it extends upwards towards the top of the page, and as it extends upwards, the solidness of it seems to kind of disappear, as if inferring that it continues, but they didn't really want to, like, continue the texture all the way upwards. And in the center of the brick wall, there's a clock, a kind of tan brown base, the numbers indicated by dots in a lighter kind of cream color, and then the minute, hour hand, a line. They seem to be overlapping right now. The light blue area kind of gives like stalactite cave sort of type feels, because I can see this little like stalactite in the one right corner. In the middle part of the blue area, we have again these dark navy blue buttons. They're not quite square and they're not quite round. They're more like if you took a pixel square and then cut off all four corners, so you have those kind of jagged little beveled edges. And then at the very bottom of each of these rounded squares or beveled squares, you have a tiny little single pixel line of a lighter blue to make them kind of look shiny, to pop out. So let's see what this is about. Just give me one moment. I'm gonna drink a little bit of tea for my voice here. A little hoarse today. Sorry about that. Well, let's enter this space with Rouse. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and step on the first button, the closest button to me. There's going from left to right, there's a single button on the furthest side of this circle shape is forming. At the top, there's two buttons. The far right, there's one button. The bottom, there's two buttons. So there's 6 buttons in total. Let's step on this one. Okay, nothing happens. Okay, nothing seems to happen. So maybe I have to go interact with the clock. So let's interact with this clock. Oh, okay, I've hit the clock, and as I hit the clock, some of the buttons seem to, okay. So upon interacting with the clock turns blue, and a timer starts ticking down. The buttons change color. Let me just click it again so I can tell you what color they kind of change to. The buttons change to a majority white button, but then there's the outside line that has a pixel that is rotating hue, so like green to yellow to blue, and then there's the same sort of shape as the button, but just inset inwards tinier. That same kind of thin line doing also the hue shifting from green to yellow to purple. So we have these two thin lines, one on the outside of the button and one on the inside inset, a smaller shape on the button turns white. As that appears, it looks like we have a certain amount of time to go and step on it. So we had, let's see, the first one is the farthest left, and it's just one button. Oh, sorry, the first one's the farthest right, and it's just one button. Then the top two highlight themselves. Hold on. Rouse chimes in. Sorry, I was going to try to describe the pattern for you, but Rouse is already beating us to it. And Rouse says, with the eyes kind of looking downwards. Chris, I think we might be missing something. Maybe we should try going to the next room? And his little sprite Ralsei's little sprite has the eyes kind of turn into happy little faces, like little happy eyes. They go into that kind of thin line where it's two shiny faces, but they look like they're happy faces because they're turned upwards, and his little mouth turns into a smiley face. I don't think anything else has happened. Nope, so that seems to be the only dialogue. But yeah, so we had, I'm going to try this one more time. There's a possibility that Ralsei will speak to us again. So we click the clock, it starts to count down. We have the far right button, the top two buttons, and then it goes to all three buttons on the left side. So the furthest, wow, I'm dyslexic today, the right side. The furthest right, and then the topmost right, and the bottommost right. So it goes from having one button, which Chris can step on by themselves, two buttons, which Chris and Ralsei can step on, but now we have three buttons, so we need Susie, I'm assuming. Let's continue. Take Ralsei's advice and continue onwards. Oh, and look who we have here. The moment we pass over into the next area, there's a Susie. But before we get to Susie, let's describe this little area now, shall we? The blue rectangle turns into that kind of smaller pathway just in the center of the screen, this light blue with everything else being surrounded by darkness. The light blue pathway continues towards the right, and near the edge of the right-hand side of the screen, it gets a little thicker and starts heading upwards. Now, that pathway ends pretty quickly, and we see Susie standing in front of what seems to be another doorway. This doorway is closed. Susie is standing with her back towards us, facing the doorway. The door is a light blue in color, but slightly darker than that of the pathway. It extends upwards as if it were to be a triangle, but then it's rounded out at the top. The Deltarune symbol in a darkish gray color in the center topmost part of the door. The door at the bottom right seems to have some cracks in it, and it's embedded into that kind of blue brick wall. That same blue brick wall can also be found in a little rectangular chunk above where we are right now in the pathway, closer to the left side of screen, and then the that brick covers the bottom side of the screen. That mostly surrounded by darkness. They're like little chunks and fragments, so we still see that kind of darkness seeping through. So let's head over towards Susie. Let's walk over. And now Susie's dialogue box with her sprite pops up. She looks pretty frustrated. The kind of like sweat drops you see in anime. Her face kind of like mostly teeth, kind of like lip turned upwards, like ugh, as she says, open up. I do apologize. Sorry, one moment. I'm just gonna have some more tea here. My voice is really, having a hard time today, so I do apologize. It's cracking all over the place. Susie says, open up, you stupid door. And then she turns around and notices us. A little exclamation point mark kind of pings up out of her head and disappears. She turns towards us. Susie, with her outfit's so cool. She's kind of all purple-ish tones. Got like these, they're not like gauntlets, but they seem to be like spiked bracelets on. Pretty cool stuff. I'll re-describe I should have done this earlier, but I'll re-describe the characters one more time. What they look like for you in a moment. But yeah, Susie says, "Oh great, it's you guys." You guys all in capitals. Susie's face she's not smiling or anything. Just very, very blank, very mute. Now Rousey says, "Susie, we were ever so worried about you." Rousey's eyes kind of look concerned, look worried. The pupils are a little bit bigger now. How did you get past those spikes before? Now Rousey's little smile is gone, and Rousey is looking downwards again. Susie says, "Walk through them." And Susie has this little tiny little bit of a smile just peeking up at the corner of her cheek. Now her smile disappears again. "But this door sucks." Rousey says, now smiling one more time, those eyes kind of closed and upturned. Don't worry, Susie. It'll open after we solve the puzzle over there." If you just give me one moment to check out something real quickly. Excellent. Alright, let's continue. Susie says, "Nice. Tell me when you finish it." Once again, smiling. And Rousey goes, Susie, we need you to finish it." You in all capitals. Rousey once again, smile disappeared, kind of looking downwards. And now smiling one more time, little corners of the mouth uptick, those closed, happy eyes. Rousey says, "Sometimes proceeding will take all three of us. Furthermore, only Chris can seal the dark fountain in all capitals. So if you don't accompany us, you won't make it home." And he looks concerned again. Kind of those worried eyes. It's really funny because the glasses actually change shape to show concern, instead of the eye shape. And Susie just kind of goes ... "So you're saying I have to stick with you guys?" Rousey, smiling one more time, goes, "Yep." Susie, again, just kind of ... blank stares. "Let's just get this over with," Susie says. And Rousey goes, "Yahoo! Susie's back on the team. Cue the fanfare." Susie joined the party. The text box popped up for that and slowly starts spelling out, "Susie joined the party." Oh wow, I love this game. And now the text box is back with Susie sprite not looking pleased, very displeased. We can see Susie's eyes underneath her hair, just like a very fine little line with a black dot in the middle, kind of like as if you were squinting real hard at something. The mouth also a thin line, just very like. Susie follows at a distance such that no one can tell she's associated. Same sort of thing. The text box appeared, slowly spelling out that message as Susie slowly walks off screen to the left side, as it says, following from a distance to not be associated with our two little dorks here. Oh boy, this is gonna be a lot. I am ready for shenanigans. Alright, let's go after Susie back to the puzzle area. Oh, and we're all together now. Awesome, all of us walking together as a big old team. Happy little family right here. Okay, so I'm going to press on the clock this time. And now, since we have the whole party, we should be able to complete this puzzle and move towards the next area. Let's do this. And the timer starts. Okay, far right, top 2, and the bottom 3. Ooh. Nice. The right 3 were actually a little bit more difficult to get them lined up for. I had to circle around a couple of times. The dialogue box at the bottom comes back and says in that blocky white text one more time, in brackets, sounded like a door opened. Alright. Let's go check to see if the door opened. Let's go towards the right. Whoa. Okay. New surprises. As we walked over back to the right, immediately as we came to the next room, there's something different. There's a little character guy standing in the middle of the road. It appears to be a red coin, but this red coin has 2 legs, and a face. Very like doggo-like face. And now, at the bottom, that text box appears with Rousey's little sprite, and Rousey says, in brackets, "Oh, yes, I just realized Susie missed the tutorial. Next battle, we should show her how to act." Act is all capitals, and Rousey smiling that cute little smiley face again. "I think she might really enjoy that." Why do I have the feeling that we're gonna have to fight this little coin character? That seems to kind of be, this idle animation for this coin is just kind of bouncing up and down. Like, the feet are contacted on the ground the whole time. It's just kind of bending its knees as if it's squatting continuously. Oh boy, alright, let's move towards this coin, and yeah. Okay, a little question mark box raised above its head, but nothing seemed to happen. Alright, I had to actually try to walk past it. And now we are in the battle zone. The entire world fades behind us. We are in darkness, but with those kind of grid lines. The thin 1 pixel kind of grid line. They're like a pinky tone. There's 2 layers of them. So think about do you remember in math class where like the notebooks had like kind of like grid pattern, like, and there was the blue lines on the white paper? Imagine it's like that, but the lines are maroony, purpley. The squares are a little larger, and that background is black, and they are moving in a diagonal. So the one in the very front, or the foreground, is moving from bottom right to top left, in that direction, and then behind it is another set that's a little bit more faded, going from top left to the bottom, and that's kind of what that background looks like now. We have all of us here. There's Chris and Rouse and Susie. So in the bottom third is all black. The text box says C.round attacked violently. Oh my. And then in brackets, you recall Rouse's advice to include Susie in an act. Alright, let's see how else we have here. To the far left, we have our TP meter, the text TP, and 0%, the red orange-ish bar. Right next to it, going from top to bottom, are three heroes, Chris, Rouse, and Susie, right to the right of that bar. Facing our enemy on the other side, the further right-hand side, C.round, who is doing a little dance. They're turned towards us in like a 3/4, kicking their feet out, doing like 1, 2, 1, 2, and little musical notes kind of popping out from its mouth, doing a little dance, having a good time. Seems like a happy little guy. We are okay. Chris has 90 HP, Rouse has 7 HP, and Susie has 110 HP. Alright, so Susie has the most HP. Let's get into this battle. Obviously, Chris is first in the list. Our blue like item menu box area is highlighted right now. So we have the top part of this selection area is a long rectangle outlined in a light kind of teal color. We have Chris's face in blue to the furthest left, Chris's name in white in all caps right next to it, and then next to that we have 8, the HP bar, which is a small little rectangular bar in teal, and then above that we have in the white text again 90/90, so we have 90 out of 90 health right now, and that's on our furthest right side. Below that part of the rectangle is another rectangle area below, which has our options. We have our fight button, our act button, our items, our spare, and our defense. And those are all their own little buttons. The default color for them is that orange outline for everything with the black background. And when we hover over the one we want to use, it turns to yellow. So, Rouse's advice was to include Susie in an act. So I'm going to go hover over act, and that's turned yellow now, and let's select act. Let's select act, and we see C.round. To the left of the bottom text area are red heart next to it, and on the very, very far right side, the green health bar for that character who is now selected. We can see that the actual physical character is flashing on and off white, so let's select C.round. And our options are check, and then to the right of that we have X complement, and just on like in front of that is Susie's little face icon, and then to the bottom left we have the option for warning, which has Rouse's little face icon next to it. So let's do what Rouse says and hit X complement. We'll move our little heart selection button over and click X complement, which has Susie's face next to it, so I'm assuming that's going to include Susie in our act. Alright, now we're moved over to Rouse. Same sort of setup, but it's all that kind of bright lime greenish color. We have Rousey's little sprite, Rousey's name, Rousey's HP, and then at the bottom, all the options of fight. Magic, though, right, for Rousey instead of acting, and then item, spare, and defend. Let's see. I'm going to, oh, you know what I noticed? Because I selected act and used act with Susie's little sprite next to it, Susie's, status bar area changed from the face to the, act sort of button symbol. So I think that I won't get a chance to do anything with Susie since Susie's turn's getting taken up by Chris, I guess. So I'm going to go over to spare, and spare C round in hopes that this one act is enough to try and spare this character. Alright. You ordered Susie to flatter the enemy. And Susie says with Susie's sprite popping up at the bottom, "What? Why the hell would I do that?" Hell in all capitals. Susie's full sprite in the fight area screen. She kind of got her back turned towards us, and the right hand, I believe, is kind of facing upwards as if pshaw. It attacked us. Let's smash it before it moves. It and us being capitalized. And now Rousey's little sprite pops up in the bottom, and Rousey says, "Aw, look, Susie, it seems harmless. If you act nice, we might win without hurting it." Susie just goes ... Okay. Susie now kind of having a little bit devious smile. "Hey, little guy. I really like the axe in your face." Oh no, Susie. Really, Susie? Why you gotta make things so difficult? Susie's sprite has now changed to that kind of terrifying, sharp, tooth-fanged grin that makes her look very intimidating. And she attacked it anyways. "Where'd you get it?" No, Susie attacked it anyways. Oh, shoot, I'm not sure how that's gonna affect this overall, playthrough. Rousey pops back up. Rousey's eyes, tiny little white dots as if Rousey is shocked or surprised. And in brackets, Rousey says, Chris, maybe I should talk to her." You won. Got 0 EXP and 11 dark dollars. Okay, so at least we didn't get any EXP, which means we didn't kill it, right? Right? Oh dear. Oh, I can't believe that happened. Oh no. Maybe I should have warned the little C-round guy before. But I'm sure this will come back. Let's continue. I forgot to mention that there is, I don't know if it was there before, but there is a sign now at the farthest right part of the blue pathway. By the way, this blue path is just a solid blue. There's no indication that it's grass or stone or anything. I sneaked by and made a sign. Signed, Lancer. So at some point, Lancer has snuck by and made a sign. Amazing. Thanks, Lancer. You're truly one of a kind. So let's head upwards and through this now open door. Alright. As we continue upwards, we are now back on the purple grass path, which continues upwards for a little bit before hitting kind of the middle of the screen and splitting again into a T shape. On either side of us right now, again, we are surrounded by darkness. There's the red tree on either side of us. in the kind of like dark squares. And we're gonna head up towards the middle of this pathway. Rouse says, Susie, I suppose you missed what I said earlier. As heroes, we have the power to make a peaceful future. Rouse was looking downwards, and now Rouse is looking upwards with big eyes. And now Rouse is smiling. So from now on, let's try to avoid fighting, okay? Fight is capitalized. Susie, once again, just kind of ... Rouse, looking concerned one more time, says, what if you just took it easy on them? If you weaken an enemy, I can use my pacify spell. Pacify all in capitals. Rouse looking kind of downwards again. And now Rouse smiling. Which can put exhausted people to sleep. Susie says now with a little toothy grin. Yawn. Yeah, you talking is already doing that. And Rouse smiling again. Well, just think about it. Now in brackets, Rouse kind of looking downwards, says, we might have to warn enemies about her, Chris. Warn is in caps. Alright, so now I'm going to make my way up to the middle of this teed section to the right side of the pathway. There's nothing, but there seems to be, there's not nothing, but there isn't too much happening except in the middle of the right side of this path, we have another save area. But to our left side seems to be another one of those kind of, those pink bunny-looking creatures from before. This one seems to look more like a bear, like, again, square body, arms, two little arm pieces sticking out, two little leg pieces sticking out, and then two top pieces sticking out, and just kind of rounded. This one is blue in color, with little tints or hints of green around some edges. This one also seems to be wearing a black top hat, and I can't tell, but it appears to have a beard. I think that's what that is. There's these little black dots kind of along where I think the chin area is, and it looks exhausted. Now, the grand piece of this area, right above us, we have a shop. How do I know it's a shop? Because it says shop right on it. There's a big kind of, how do I describe it? It looks like a bunch of pieces of leather or potato bags, maybe kind of sewn together in the form of an archway. It definitely, it seems kind of like hand sewn, coming apart a little bit. The top of it says shop. To the left top of the corner of this archway, there's like a little, I think that's a button, a little yellow button. Hanging in kind of the archway are some maybe rope or maybe some thicker string or something or whatnot. Again, mostly these are all like tanned and like tan, brown kind of colors. Sometimes this string being like yellow. And surrounding it, there are a couple branched off pieces that seem to just be, how to describe, sewing up like cracks, I guess, against the darkness. Like it looks like the darkness has some maybe like purple kind of cracks forming. It looks like something or someone has tried to sew them back together. So I'm gonna save first before doing anything. And you know what? I'm gonna save in a new slot, because I feel like that's gonna come in handy. So, the save text dialogue says, Susie, the violent tormentor, is now your ally. The power of Mean Girl shines within you. Yeah, we love our Mean Girl. And let's hit the save option in our the dialogue box that appears in the middle of the screen. Again, that same kind of black rectangle with the chunkier white outline on it. We have some like ornaments in the corner. Save. We're still level 1, it says. Now we have 353 minutes. We are at field, and then Seams shop, SEAM''S shop, and file saved. Amazing. I wonder who this seam is. I'm assuming it's seam, like as like a sewing seam. Alright, let's talk to this blue square bear guy with a beard, specifically a neck beard. It says, hey kid. Once I selected to talk to it, its upper body started kind of bouncing up and down really quickly, and it's doing like the shifty eyes. Like its eyes are kind of like, going from left to right, very shifty, very shady. You wanna buy a tutorial? It's only $50 dark dollars. Do I wanna buy a tutorial? Oh no. Alright, there's now the option before us. Do we hover our little red heart over the buy option, or do we hover it over the no option? Now, my pacifist in me says, yeah, we're, let's buy this tutorial from this guy, but I'm also really curious to see what happens if you say no. I don't actually know how much dark dollars I have. Oh, I can't check. But if I don't have $50 dark dollars, give me a second to think about this. I could buy it, or I could not buy it. To buy or not to buy? That is the question. I don't know. I'm thinking too much. I am definitely overthinking this. I heavily apologize. Asterisk, #sorry. Let me check how much dark dollars I have. I'm gonna say no for now, because I feel like should be a pretty harmless selection, but you never know with Toby. Okay, I selected no, and now this character is panicking. Like, its face has gone full big wide circle eyes, mouth open agape, kind of little sweats happening, freaking out. Now the dialogue now says, ha, did I say 50 all in caps? Well, we just went on sale. 20 dark dollars. Now there's a chance that we keep hitting no and the option keeps getting less and less. Considering how much this little guy is freaking out, it's $20 dark dollars. I'm sure we have $20 dark dollars. Let's just buy the tutorial from this guy. I know some people are probably screaming at me, even though you should be relaxing and trying to sleep. Right? That I should continue to try to haggle this guy down, and I shouldn't waste my money because there's a shop in front of me where I could spend said money on better things. Or maybe not better things. Oh, I should have gone into the shop first, shouldn't I? Huh. Well, you know what? It's fine. I'm sure we can't do that much damage, right? And now the character says, really? You'll really buy it? Right this way, gentleners. I'm having a stroke. Gentlelanners? Is that a real word? Oh, and now the character's kind of gone back to the shifty-eyed bouncing. And runs off to the left-hand side. Okay, I have now been given the choice to not follow the character and go into the shop, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Because I want to see what this shop is about before spending money elsewhere. Let's enter the shop. Oh, whoa. Okay. First off, let's acknowledge the music. Toby always has incredible music. And this does not disappoint. I like this a lot. It's kind of adventure-y, a little haunting-y. And now before us, we are in the shop. The screen is kind of split in two. The top half being the image of the shop and the shop tender, and the bottom half being our dialogue selection box area. So let's describe what we have before us. There is this glorious sprite of this character. This character resembling a cat, but it also has a giant button eye and a couple scars here and there, some sewing. So let me try to get this here for you. Think about a fuzzy kind of purple gray face of a cat. Two big fluffy ears that actually are animated a little bit. That inside part of the ear, instead of being like pink, like how you would think the inside ears kind of usually get drawn, is actually like an orange yellow. The top part of the forehead is the fur is like a purpley gray. The top part of the forehead, where cats' patterns usually are, how sometimes they have those cool patterns, is a black square with some little lines coming off the sides. The majority of the face is, how do I say, scraggly. Like the hair around the face kind of is a little mismatched, misshapen, untaken care of, kind of spiking off into several points. Now we have one big button eye. That button eye is that kind of golden orange color. There's 3 black dots in the middle that every now and then rotate around themselves, and that is this character's to us, facing the screen, it's on the left-hand side of this character's face, which means that it's actually its right eyeball. There is at the bottom, a little scar that we can see, like a little of an opening to, that's kind of looks like ripped open. The nose is this kind of longer black triangle piece in the center that connects to the button eyeball, and that little point at the bottom, then stretching down towards the mouth, which is curved upwards into a wide smile, and then comes back down again in a triangular shape to a point. The inside of the mouth also that sort of orangey gold color on the left side facing us, but this character's right side of the face has 2 stitch marks, as if someone tried to sew up the mouth together. The other eye is just a thin kind of almond-shaped dark void, assuming that it's closed or maybe hidden in some sort of way. And then the body, we don't see much of the body, maybe just like the shoulders and a little bit of the torso. This character is wearing, again, like a scraggly kind of cloak or coat, brown tones mainly, with some highlights of that orange. Now, I would say brownish, orangish. This entire sprite character is then outlined with a thin pixel line of a kind of darker minty looking green color. The shop itself is on a brownish black background, very, very dark, not quite black. The right side of the shop has, in the top right corner, extending down maybe about a third of the way through, so it's taking up a larger part of the screen, a crest sort of symbol, like it's a shield shape, and it has a sword in the middle. Again, that shield is an outline, the outline being that kind of orange color. The sword part itself extends from the hilt at the bottom right up towards the left, and that part, the sword actually is solid orange gold. The hilt part is that kind of outline pattern again. The bottom below that on the right seems to be some sort of counter with maybe mail, some boxes. There's like a circular kind of thing happening there. It's definitely a shelf with stuff on it. The left-hand side, in the very, very top corner, I'm assuming it's another banner that we actually don't see like the top part of. Like, there's a banner a little bit torn up of the Deltarune symbol. The Deltarune symbol is the solid yellow part. Below that is another shelf. There seems to be potions and bottles on this shelf, and then towards the right side of the shelf, there's like a bunny girl looking sort of stuffed animal, possibly. That's what I'm taking from that. And then below that is another shelf, just hovering above our text box area, with more wares, more bottles. There seems to be a chipped bowl, maybe a magic crystal ball. So that is what we have before us. Now in our bottom text, it's split up the rectangle into two chunks. We have a larger rectangle on the left side, and then on the right side, there's a thick white line dividing, I guess, the text box between the selection box. So in the right side, we have our options: buy, sell, talk, exit, going from top to bottom. So it's those are all underneath each other. At the very bottom, we can see how much dark dollars we have. Okay, so we have 263 dark dollars. Not bad, not bad. Now back to our left-hand side, the text that says, hee hee, welcome travelers. Amazing. So why don't let's talk to our shopkeeper here before we do anything else. I'm gonna go down towards the talk option. Oh, fascinating. Once I hit the talk option, I hovered the little red heart to the talk option and selected it. Another order of operations, but like the text box now swapped over to the smaller side, and the selection area now swapped over to the larger side. So our options are about yourself, lighteners, kingdom, war legendary, or exit. Right now, it's hovered over about yourself, and the text box area says, don't have anything better to do. Alright, let's hit about yourself. The names seem pronounced Sean. Yep, of course it is. Of course it is. Shawm, SHAWM in quotation marks. And this is my little shop. Shop, I'm assuming it's shop spelled S-E-A-P. Get in the web, this guy spells things in a different way. So it's either this cat character's little seep or little shop. Ha 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 ha. It says, over the years I've collected odds and ends. Of course, I've no attachment to any of it. It's just a hobby of mine. Around here, you learn to find ways to pass the time, or go mad like everyone else. Nice. Then, we can go to the next option. Let's go downwards and hover over lighteners, select lighteners. Ooh, Sham's face has kind of gotten to like a circular kind of shape as if talking to us. Long ago, the darkners lived in harmony with the lighteners. They were like gods to us. Our protectors, our creators, those who gave us purpose. And actually, as the dialogue goes through, Sham does talk. Like, Sham's mouth actually does move. Then, one day, we were all locked away in this prison, and the lighteners never returned. Oh no. Embittered, the king took up arms and aims to take revenge upon the lighteners that left us behind. Of course, even among his troops, some still distantly hope the lighteners will return. Sorry about that. Alright, next one on the list down is Kingdom. Historically, this land was ruled by the four kings from Card Castle to the east, Card Castle all in caps highlighted in yellow. But recently, a strange night appeared, and the three of the kings were locked away. The text strange night is not in caps, but is red. The remaining king put him and his strange son into power. This land hasn't seen this much chaos since the second this is in capitals. Ha ha ha. Well, you don't need to know about that. And now Sham is laughing. Alright, last one. We're legendary. Ha ha ha. So you are the heroes, in quotations, who are going to seal our fountain. Good luck. It makes no difference to me. Neither light nor dark hold a future for a darkener in my conditioner. In my condition. Oh, what's wrong, buddy? No, you're wonderful. You're perfect. You're incredible. So you got to be patched up. You got some seams, Sham. Don't let those put you behind anybody else. Those make you who you are, and they're a part of you, and they're glorious. Oh, okay. So that's all we can do right now in terms of talking to Sham, I think. Let's exit. Now Sham says, take your time. Ain't like it's better spent. The text box and the selection box have now flipped back again into their respective sides. Okay, so our other options are buy, sell, and talk and exit. Let's see what we have to buy. Ooh. So another part of the dialogue box has kind of entered. Sham is moved over further to the left, and our right side has now extended upwards. So we have like this kind of reverse L shape happening. In the larger left bottom chunk, we have dark candy, dark burger, amber card, and spooky sword. The dark candy is $40. In the top left now it says item, star-shaped candy that heals 40 HP. And then below that it just says what would you like to buy. Down at the bottom of that kind of right bottom box it says 263 dark dollars and then how much space we have. So let's put our little red heart next to dark burger, which is $70. And the item area says mysterious hamburger heals 70 HP. Next, amber card. Armor, defensive charm. Oh, and it shows what it does for all of our characters. So the three little fight sprites show up. Chris's little blue sprite, Rousey's little green sprite, and Susie's little purple sprite. So this would do for So this would be good for either Rouse or Susie. It gives a -1 to one of the stats for Chris, though. Next one, Spooky Sword. Weapon, black and orange. The amber card was $100. The Spooky Sword is $200. So the Spooky Sword, it does show all three characters, but Rouse and Susie are grayed out, and it only shows that Chris is an option. And it looks like for the attack power, it gives a +2. And then nothing to anything else. It has a little star shape with a 0 next to it, but I'm not sure what that means quite yet. So let's exit. I think I'm okay for now. Let's exit from the shop. Sham says, see you again, or not. I'm gonna save one more time. Susie, the violent tormentor, is now your ally. The power of Mean Girl shines within you. One more time. And I'm gonna have to leave this episode here just because I did have an alarm go off for something I need to go grab. So I do apologize if this episode's a little bit shorter. I promise you the next one will be a whole lot longer. That was fun though. This is probably gonna take us a while to get through as I try to describe everything to you, just so you can get good visuals, and I'll try to work on how I describe things so that they're a little less convoluted and janky and maybe more direct and clean. So let's exit the game now and do our outro. Well, anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I hope that you're asleep or at least relaxed enough to now get your way to Sleepville. This has been great. The gang is back together, although they never really were all together to begin with, but now we're together. Chris, Susie, Rouse, the team, the trio. I'm excited to see what shenanigans we get up to, or really cool good boy deeds. This game has really got me quite hooked. I'm gonna see about trying to post from now on every Friday with a new Deltarune update. It's been so much fun talking to you all and playing Deltarune. I think so far there's so much already to this game that has just infinite potential that I can see this being literally 100 episodes of just chapter 1. So do let me know if you have any suggestions at all for Deltarune or different games I can play or for ways to improve this experience for you. Anyways, sweetest dreams, and I'm always just a play button away. Toodles!